Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. In this video I'm going to be completing a website section from paper 3 from the CIE ICT IGCSE course. So paper 3 is a practical paper which also includes data analysis, so that's the spreadsheet section, and it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long. So today we're going to be doing a February-March 2019 paper. You can check out the previous video for the spreadsheet section. So we're going to be doing a website part today. Now the two softwares I'm going to be using to complete this section is going to be Microsoft Expression Web 4 and Paint.net. So both of these softwares are free to download. The evidence section I've already completed or started from the Excel task which I did in a previous video. So I've opened up the evidence document, included the header details and saved it as a Word document with my candidate detail at the end. So we are going to be referring to the evidence document to either answer questions or to play some screenshots. So let's go to task 2, web page. Let me zoom in so we can have a closer look at the question. So you will evaluate a web page designed for children aged 2 to 3 to help them identify colours. When they click on a word, the name of the colour is output for the speakers and a colour appears in a circle. So I'm guessing it's going to be this circle here. So the web page looks like this. So the first part I want to highlight from this question is the website has been designed for children aged 2 to 3 to help them identify colours. When they click on a word, the name of the colour is output for the speakers and then the colour appears in the circle. Okay, so let's go down. The first question, and it's 4 marks. What we need to do in the evidence document is to evaluate this web page for the attendant audience. So remember, the audience is going to be children aged from 2 to 3. Okay, so before we go to the evidence document, let's have a look. So the first thing that stands out to me is it's meant to be for children, and there's a lack of colours. It's a really simple design. It's not going to grab their attention, and then this text here is probably too difficult for them to read, and it's also too small as well. So it says click on the name of the colour to see it on the circle. You've got some simple colours like red, blue, green, but then you've got complicated colours like turquoise. I'm not sure if they're expected to know that at age 2 to 3. So there's lots of design flaws to this web page. Let's have a look at the evidence document. So I've taken the questions already from the mark scheme. So let's have a look what we have. Okay, so the first point you can make, text can't be read by the age group. So if you go back to here, that's going to be difficult for anyone to read, let alone children aged 2 to 3. The text is too small, which we've mentioned. There's too many colours. Maybe if it is for 2 to 3 year olds, we can focus just on the simple colours. And there's complex text, for example, turquoise. So as mentioned previously, I think that might be quite challenging for children aged 2 to 3 to identify. The text reader relates sound to the word. So if they were to click on the text, then that text would come out the speakers. So at least that's a positive. Okay, so there's 4 marks available. You can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick the 4 simple, obvious things that you can think of that relates to this question and place them down. What you don't want to do is write 6, 7, 8 different points. So just pick the 4 points that you're most confident with. Okay, so moving on to question 2. Just before we move on, you can write your evidence as short sentences as part of a paragraph. You can see here I've just got them in a list. So if you're doing this, I think the best thing to do is write it as short sentences in a short paragraph. Okay, question 2. State the most appropriate web development layers to, and it's going to be 4 marks each. So each sentence you're going to get a mark for identifying the most appropriate web development layer. So set the background color of all pages in a website. So for A, we're going to use the CSS, and you can use the body tag to set the background color of a web page. To create a hyperlink to another web page, you're going to use the content layer, which includes the HTML. To collapse all table borders, again you can use the presentation layer, which includes the CSS, to format the table settings. And to enlarge an image when a user hovers the cursor over it, so when the mouse goes over it, the picture can be enlarged. So what we can do, we can add a behavior element to the picture, so that's going to be in a behavior layer. Okay, so let's now go to the evidence document. So for evidence 2, to save myself a bit of time, I've taken again the answers from the mark scheme. So let's have a look. So remember, A and C, we do it in a CSS, which is part of the presentation layer. So A and C is presentation. To create a hyperlink is done in the HTML, which is part of the content layer. Okay, and to enlarge an image when the mouse goes over it, or when the cursor goes over it, is done in the behavior layer. Now, if you wish to find out any more information about web expression, the web development layers, you can go to my website. So www.yahmad.co.uk. I will leave the link below in the description. If you go to click on this tab here and go to paper 3, you can open up this presentation here, which is all about Microsoft Web Expression. And if you go down to the second slide, you can find out more information about the web development layers. You can also scroll through this presentation and find information about the HTML, creating hyperlinks, email links, and all of the other elements in Web Expression. Okay, so let's now go back to the question paper and let's move forward. So you work for Hot House Design and will develop web pages for a small British company called Glorious Gardens. So it's the same theme from the Excel task which I created previously. Efficient markup and style sheets must be used. All color codes must be in hexadecimal. So the first thing we need to do is create a new folder called ggg_html. So if I go to my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder. So if I right click my mouse, select folder, let's rename the folder ggg_html. And then what we expected to do is locate some files and then move them into the folder. So we're going to be moving 4 JPEG pictures, so or 5 actually. So let me move the pictures first. To save, or to make my life a little bit easier, if I go to view details, and then if I click on type, we can group the JPEG pictures together. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I highlight them all by pressing Control and Shift, or Control, we can just drag these pictures into this folder. Okay. After the JPEG, there's a PNG file, a CSS file. So let's drag them two in. So that's the CSS file there, and a PNG file as well. And we finally have a text file that we need to move into this folder as well. So it's going to be this one here. Okay, so let me double check how many files we have in total. So again, we can go to details. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 JPEG files. Let me double check. Yep, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we should have 3 other files, a PNG, a CSS, and a text file. PNG, CSS, text file. Yep, that's great. Let me just highlight that we've done that. Okay, so now we're going to be editing some graphics, or a graphic. And the software, remember, that we're going to be using is going to be paint.net. The reason I use the software is it's free to download. You don't need to pay for the software. So we're going to open and resize the image lilac.jpg. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. So to open, we go to File, Open, go to your source folder, go to the folder that we just created, and open up the lilac JPEG picture. The first thing that we need to do is to resize the picture. Okay, so to resize the picture, you go to Image, Resize, and let's look at the criteria. So the picture now will be 672 pixels wide. So in here we can enter 672. If I maintain the aspect ratio, I just want to see the height. Will that change? Yeah. So if you maintain the aspect ratio, the height automatically adjusts. So I don't need to enter the height now. So the height is 896 pixels high, so that's fine. And once you've done that, you can press OK. And if you come to the bottom here, you can see the dimensions of the picture. So 672 pixels wide and 896 pixels high. Once you've done that, we can save this picture as lilac1.jpg. So let me just copy this. So yeah, we're just going to be adding 1 at the end. To save the picture, you go to File, Save As. Make sure JPEG has been selected as the file type. Make sure you save it into your folder, and let me include 1 at the end. Save. Done. If you want, you can increase the quality of the picture. I think I'm going to leave it for now. So 90 is fine. You can preview. If you do reduce the quality of the picture, you'll notice the file size will also decrease as well, and you will lose some quality on the picture. Let's leave it as 90. I think that was fine. Okay. Okay, so let's now look at question 4. We're going to remove the left and the right of the image to make it 271 pixels wide, and the height is still going to be the same, 896 pixels high. So if you look at this example here, we want to remove the left and the right hand side of the picture. We want to keep the middle section of this picture here. So there's a little trick that we can do. So the first thing is, let's highlight how wide the picture is going to be. So if I go back to paint.net, let's select the selection tool. So if you refer down here, you'll see the selection size when I make it. So I'm going to start from this corner here, and then what I'm going to do is, once I've got the correct size, then I'm going to use this option here to move the selection. So let's make my selection first, and if you look at the bottom right corner, so remember here where the mouse is, let's go to 271 pixels wide. Okay, I can't get to 271, so 272 will be fine for now. Let's now click on this tool here to move the selection into the middle, and this is basically what we want to keep. Okay, I think that's close enough. That's the middle for me. And then to make the selection, what we need to do is we go to Image, and then we select Crop to Selection. Okay, so I've still got slightly more than what I should have. So what I'm going to do is just make the selection again, and hopefully I'm going to try to lose a small amount of the selection. So I've gone to 270. Let me try that again. Crop to Selection. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Look at the size of the picture, 271 by 896 pixels high. Okay, so just to recap what I did there, I made my selection from the left hand side, then I used this tool here to move the selection into the middle, and then we went to Image and then cropped the selection. Okay, let's now move on to the next question. Question 5. Display the contents of your ggg_html folder showing a folder name, all file names, extensions, file sizes and image dimensions. And then what we need to do is take a screenshot of the folder and place this into your evidence document as evidence 3. So if I go to my folder, let me just make this a bit smaller so we can see what I need to do. Okay. So if you click on the top here, we can remove some of these options. So we don't need tags. We got file size. File extension is type. The file name, we don't need to show the date. So let's get rid of date. And then what we can do is we need to include the dimensions. So let me double check. So we're going to show the folder name here. That's shown there. File names are shown here. Extensions are type, file size and image dimensions. So yeah, this is now ready to print screen. So make sure nothing's cropped off. You can see everything in full. Dimensions are here. This is where the work is saved. So let me take a print screen. Again, as mentioned in previous videos, if you do want to use the snipping tool, that's up to you. So what I like to do, or what I've been doing for a long time now, is just take a print screen, paste it in and crop off the parts which I don't need. So if you double click the picture format, crop, I don't need to include this bottom part. And then what we can do, we can resize the folder. So there's the folder name, file names, the type, the size and the dimensions of the picture. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's save the changes. Let's now move forward. Okay, so we've done that. Right, now we're going to be creating a new web page. So the software which we're going to be using for the web page part is going to be Microsoft Expression Web 4. So we need to create a web page called spring.htm. So let me just copy that name. To create a new page, you go to File, New, and you want to select HTML. And then you got the options here to see the design view. You can split the design and the code view, which includes the HTML, or you can have a look at the code view in full. Let's go to design, and before we do anything, I want to save this page as Spring. And then browse to the folder that you just created earlier on in this task. So ggg_html, and let's enter the name. So was it? Yes. So we want to save it as Spring. Okay, let me just copy and paste that in. You don't need to include the file extension since we're saving it, or we open up the HTML page, it's going to save it into that format. Okay, so you just need to include a file name, click on save, and done. You can see spring.html at the top. Okay, so this web page must work in all browsers and will have a table structure shown as below. So before we create the table, let's see how many rows and columns we have. So let's count the rows first. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so if I go to table, insert table, let's enter 6 rows and columns is going to be 3. Okay, let's have a look at any dimensions which you may have. So the table is going to be 800 pixels wide. So can you see this cell has been merged? So the top and the bottom cells will be 800 pixels wide, and that's also going to be the size of the table wide. So in pixels we can declare this size, and the height will be declared once we resize each individual cell. Okay, so let's press OK. And now what we need to do is we're going to merge the cells. So the top and the bottom row needs to be merged across. So highlight the cells, right click your mouse, modify merge cells, and then highlight the bottom row. Go to modify, click on merge cells, and then what you need to do is merge all of these cells here as well. So highlight them all so we can do them in one go. So modify and merge. Okay, now let's put the dimensions in for each of the cells. So let's make that a bit bigger. So this cell is already 800 pixels wide, but the height is going to be set to 100. So to set the dimensions for this table, let's right click in the table, go to cell properties, and the height we're going to specify as in pixels 100. We don't need to specify how wide it's going to be because it's already going to be 800. If you want to type in 800 again, you can do. It's not going to make any difference. Let's click on apply. Okay. If you go to the code view, you can see the size and height of the cell is shown here, and that's what's going to be marked. So these cells span across 3 columns. So remember, we basically, if we merge cells from 3 columns together to make this one cell here, and it's one cell at the bottom. So that was across the 3 columns that we created. Okay, that's the first one done. Let's do the bottom one. So the height of the bottom one will be 150. So let's click on the bottom cell, right click your mouse, go to cell properties, the height in pixels 150. Again, you can write in 800, it's not going to change because since it's the size of a table going wide anyway. Apply. Let me just zoom out slightly. All of these cells there, so B, E, G and I, have the same size, 300 pixels wide, and the height will be 225. So we can highlight and resize these cells in one go. So right click your mouse after you've selected the cells, go to cell properties. So 300 by 225. So let's specify both. And the height is going to be 225. Apply. Okay, and then let's do the same thing for here. So C is F, H and J will be 225 by 225. Okay, so let's highlight the cells again. And let's go down. Yeah. And then again right click your mouse, cell properties, and enter the sizes. So 225 by 225. Apply. Okay. And then this last cell, it looks a bit small, but once we put the size in, it's going to start looking a bit more normal. So again, you can click inside the table, cell properties, and that's going to be 275 by 900. So again, make sure you select pixels, and the height will be 900. Apply. Okay, so let's have a look at our table. So we've got a top row that's been merged across 3 columns, spans 3 columns. We have a bottom row again, which has been merged across the 3 columns. Okay, and then you have this cell here, which has been merged across 4 rows. So if you go back to the example, you can see the top and the bottom cells merged across the 3 columns, and then this has been merged across 4 rows. In the HTML, and this is what's going to be marked, you can see you got the sizes for each of the cells, and also the top row and the bottom row spans across 3 columns, and then the cell which spans across 4 rows, you can see the piece of code for that as well. Okay, let's save the changes and let's move forward. So just for your information, each table cell is identified with a letter and all dimensions are in pixels. The letters and dimensions shown in the table must not appear in the final web page. So we can highlight this. There's 13 marks in total, and if you do go back to your HTML, all of the marks will be coming from here. So the size of the table, the individual cell sizes, and the code showing that we've been merging cells either across columns or across the rows. Right, the next point, all table borders must be visible and have the width of 2 pixels. Now I'm going to go a little bit forward because maybe we do this part in a CSS. So I'm just going to double check. Yeah, so we're going to be doing this part later in the CSS. We're going to be creating a new style sheet and formatting the table in a CSS. So I'm going to skip that part for now, and we'll come back to this later on. Right, let's move forward. In cell A, place the text spring flowering trees and shrubs, and then we're going to set this text as H1. So what is cell A? Cell A is the top cell. So if we go back to design view, let's click on the top cell. You will have to type this text, but I can copy and paste. Then we want to format this as heading 1. Okay, this may change later on once we attach our style sheet. So the formatting will change, should I say. So that's question 7 done. In C, F, H and J. So C, F, H and J, so that's a middle column. We need to include the text, so apple. In this cell here, so that's C. Just to confirm, yeah, F, H and J just below. This is going to be below apple, so in a cell below. So again, I'm copying and pasting. You will have to type these values into your table. Since you won't have the question paper as a PDF, you'll have it printed in front of you. and then this one here into J. Now all of these fonts or text that we've entered will be formatted as H2, so heading 2. So highlight the text, come up to the formatting section, select heading 2, heading 2, and apply heading 2. Again, if I go to the code view, the HTML, you can see we've got the text and you can see the style that's been applied. So the main title, we've applied H1, and for apple, camellia, cherry, and the last one, I'm not sure you say this, all of these styles are H2. So you open up the tag H2, remember when you close on the tag you have the backward slash and then H2 again. Save the changes, go back to design view, let's move forward. Okay, so place in the cell. So now we're going to be placing images. So in D, so let me first of all identify where D is. So D is the main cell here, the big cell that's been merged across the 4 rows. The image lilac 2. So basically this is a picture that we cropped in step 4. So if you go back to step 4, it's where we cropped off the sides and we just kept the middle part. So if I go back to expression, if I click on D, let's go to insert, picture from file. Let me just go to my folder really quickly and then browse to your source folder and select the file. So it's going to be lilac 2, you see the 2 here, .jpeg. You don't want to select the previous 2 files because they won't fit in a space we have in the table. Let's click on insert, and every time you insert a picture the option will come to include alternative text. I always like to include the alternative text. So this will basically display if the picture doesn't display in your browser. Sometimes in a question paper they may ask you later on to include the alternative text. So I like to include it whilst I'm inserting a picture. Let's press OK. If they do ask you later on, you can right click on the picture, go to picture properties, and you can also include the alternative text here. Okay, so that's that done. Okay, in B, the image of the apple tree. So B, E, G, and I. Let me just double check if it's so B, E, G, and I. We need to insert the picture of the apple tree and then a camellia image. So let's do the first 2. So if you click here, insert, picture from file. Let's get the apple tree. Let's include the alternative text. The second one is going to be the picture of the camellia. So if I'm saying it right, it's a plant. I'm just going to copy this text here for the alternative text. So insert. Okay, and then the cherry tree, and then this item here which I can't pronounce. So insert picture again from file, okay, and then the last plant. So insert picture, or is it tree? This one here. It looks like a flower. So I'm just going to copy and paste this since it's quite difficult to spell for the alternative text. Insert, include the alternative text, press OK. Right, so let's have a look. So we've inserted the pictures. In the markup, resize each of these images to 290 pixels wide whilst maintaining the aspect ratio. So if I just go to the previous question, you can see here it doesn't mention that we need to change the picture in a markup in the HTML. So that's for that reason I opened it up in a graphic editing software. But these pictures, we're not changing the actual pictures, we just want to change it in our web page. So we're going to be editing the pictures within Microsoft Expression Web. So each picture needs to be 290 pixels wide whilst maintaining the aspect ratio, so that's proportions of the picture. So to do that, what we can do is let's start from top to first picture, right click on the picture, go to picture properties, go to appearance, and let's enter how wide the pictures will be. So it's going to be 290 pixels wide, and we want to maintain the aspect ratio, so we can keep that box ticked, and the height will automatically change. Let's press OK. Let's do the same thing for this picture. So 290, appearance. Again, the height changes accordingly to the aspect ratio. Right click, picture properties, appearance. Height again changes. Picture properties, appearance. Okay, and then if you go to the code view, you can see we've got the pictures, we've got the alternative text. Just let me check if they ask for the alternative text. So they haven't asked for the, actually yeah, you can see question 12. Make sure appropriate text is displayed if an image is not available. So that's why it's useful to do it while you're inserting a picture, because maybe later on they might ask you this. So what we can see in the code is the alternative text, the height, so the dimensions of the pictures, and then the code for the picture. So you got src equal, and then in speech marks the name with the file extension of the picture. So that's the code for the image. Okay, so we have the tag img. Within the tag you have all of the information for that particular image. Okay, so we've done that. In cell K, the text from the file ggg text.txt. Okay, so K must be the bottom row. Yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to open up this text document and then copy and paste the text into the bottom row. So it's going to be this file here. Let me highlight all of this text. Yeah, so I've got all of it selected. Let me copy it. If I go to expression, go back to design view. Let's go to the bottom row and let's paste the information in. So again, I'm using the shortcut keys to copy and paste, Control and C, Control and V to paste. Okay, so we can close that down. Once we've done that, replace the text, insert your name, center number, candidate number with your name, center number, candidate number. So for center number, I'll use 5, 6, 7, 8. For candidate number, I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, in the exam, you'd have to use insert your details. So when you are inserting your name, make sure you include the full name. Okay, and we also need to replace the brackets as well. So we don't need to include the brackets. So don't write just your first name, always write your full name. Center number, I said before, we're going to use 5, 6, 7, 8. Obviously in the exam, refer to your own center number and your own candidate number. And this will be set as H3. So we can highlight this text and then apply the H3 formatting. Okay, so that's looking good. Let me just save the changes. Right, question 11. Make only the text link a hyperlink. Oh, sorry, make only the text link. What is that text? So use this link. Okay. Let's read the rest of the question. A hyperlink to send an email message to. So this text here will be a link or hyperlink. So what you do, you highlight link, and then you right click your mouse and you select hyperlink. And since we're going to be sending an email, select the email option here at the bottom and include the email address. So you'd have to type this out, so make sure you don't make any spelling mistakes. Copy the email address or type it in. Okay, and mail to will automatically appear when you start typing in the email address. And then the subject line is going to be Ask the Expert. Okay, so we can enter the code. So what's going to happen is when you click on this link, it should open up an email client, for example Outlook. The email address will be included in the header and a subject line will automatically be included. Now it doesn't have to work, but what's going to be marked is the code. So we've got the mail to and then the email address, and then the subject line is question mark subject equal, it comes after, so ask the expert. So that's what's going to be marked, and yeah, okay, and the link will come from this text here. Okay, so we've done question 11, 5 marks there, so they should be 5 easy marks you should be picking up. Question 12, we've done that already. Make sure appropriate text is displayed if the image is not available. If you haven't done that, what you can do, you can again right click on the picture, go to picture properties and include the alternative text, and then if you go to the code, you can see alternative text is shown for each picture here. So that's for the cherry, and if you go up, you can see alternative text for the other 2 pictures as well. Okay, so that text will appear if your picture does not appear in the browser. Question 13, attach the style sheet GGG style.css to your web page. Remember, the style sheet is part of the presentation layer and it's going to provide formatting to your page. And then we're going to save the page. So let's go to expression. To attach, you should have this manage styles window open. If you don't see it, you can go to panels, click on manage styles, and maybe you have to drag it out from the right hand side. So to attach the style sheet, let me click again. You click on attach style sheet, browse, go to your source folder, and this is a style sheet we want to attach. Yeah, let me double check. GGG style.css. When we attach the style sheet, you can see there's some formatting to the web page. Okay, let's now move on to the next question. So question 14. You will create a second style sheet using the most efficient syntax. Make sure your style sheet does not contain any HTML. So create a new style sheet called GGG followed by your candidate number. So for example, GGG, and then for my candidate number I'll use 1234. So to create the new style sheet, you go to File, New, and click on CSS. Let's save it before we do anything else. Save as, and the name, let me double check, it's going to be GGG and then your candidate number. So I'll use 1234 and save. Okay, that's that done. Place your name, center number and candidate number as a comment at the bottom of the style sheet. So if I click here, for example, let me just press enter. Let me insert a comment. So to insert a comment, you need to write slash star, and you can see this comment has now changed to green. That basically tells you that this will be a comment. It's not going to be part of the code. So you include your name, center number, and then candidate number. So I'll use 5678 for my center number, 1234 for my candidate number. To close the comment, you do star and then slash. So a comment is not part of the code. Okay. If you do forget, let's say for example I don't include star, you can see it thinks is now part of the code. So make sure you do include a comment and you check to see if the comment has turned to green. Right, that's that part done. Okay. Right, what we need to do, we need to edit the style sheet so the image GG logo PNG becomes a single background image and placed at the top right of each page. So to format the background, we need to insert a body tag. So if I click on new style, go to type in body, and if I go to background, let's browse and select that particular picture. So it's going to be the GG logo.png. That's going to be the background picture. So let's browse. So let me double check again, is it? Yeah, so GGG logo.png, which is this picture here. And then what we want to do to this picture, it becomes a single background image placed at the top right of each page. Okay, so what we need to do, it's not going to be repeated, so we click no repeat. If you select repeat, you get the tile effect, but we don't want to repeat the picture. And the position will be right and top. Okay, so that's that part done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move my comment later on actually. Don't know why I did that. Let's get rid of those spaces. So that's the background done. All tables are left aligned in the browser. All table borders are visible and 2 pixels wide. So this is going to refer to the external border in table and also the internal border in TD. So I'm going to do this one and then we'll come back to this bullet point here. So let's make a new style. So it's going to be table, comma and TD, because what we want to do, we want to format both the external border and the internal border, and there's no point making separate tags, so we can use the most efficient syntax. So what I'm going to do is go to border, all borders are visible, so I'm going to select solid, and the borders are 2 pixels thick. Apply. So you can see we've got the most efficient syntax here. And if we go back to the question paper, we're going to do this bullet point in the middle. So let me just first highlight this one as complete. All tables are left aligned in the browser. So this is only going to be specific for table. So TD, I included a table for this task because this applies to both external and internal grid lines. But now we're going to create something specific just for the table. So let's create a table tag. And what we need to do to the table is to make it left aligned in the browser. So we can do that by setting the margin to 0 centimeters. So let me go to, is it box? Yeah. So the left margin will be set to 0, and then if I change this to centimeters, so that will basically align the table to the left hand side of the page. Apply. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I need to do. Let me move this now to the bottom. So I'm going to cut this, put it at the bottom of the CSS, just press backspace, save the changes. Okay, so and save your style sheet and then attach it to your web page. Make sure your style sheet has a higher priority than the GGG or GGG style.css. So I'll explain what that means in a second. So if I go back to Spring, and if I go to attach style sheet, browse, I want to select this one here. So this is the one we just created, GGG including our candidate number. Press OK. And you can see this has a higher priority because it's the last style sheet we just attached. And when we did attach this style sheet, some of the previous styles have still stayed the same, like the background is still green, but now the table is to the left hand side. Okay, and you can see this picture is in the background but it's in the top right. Yeah, I'm just wondering if I just swap these two over. So basically the last style sheet you've attached takes a higher priority, okay, by default. Right, so that's that part done. Now it's the evidence, and this is the most important part, okay? So if you don't do the evidence right, then there'll be no marks to be picked up. So the first evidence now, evidence for display the page in the browser. If necessary, resize so all the page can be seen, all the text can be easily read, and the address bar is visible. So if I go to File, Preview, let's go to Chrome, and we need to take a print screen in the browser. So let me just get rid of these previous pages, zoom out so we can see everything. Okay, so we need to show this browser window, we need to show this picture's been right aligned, and we need to basically show everything. So let me take my print screen, and again it's up to you if you want to use the cropping and snipping tool. It's up to you. So evidence 4, I think I'm going to move that to the next page. So it does say here you can include screenshots. So if you can't show everything in one print screen, you can take multiple screenshots if you wanted to. Let me just crop the bottom part off. Done. Okay, so you can see the address bar here. What I'm going to do actually, because it's quite difficult to see the text, I'm going to take a separate print screen, just focusing on the actual table, and then I'm going to resize that. So it's actually the same print screen, so I can just copy and paste. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to literally crop off everything else apart from the table and resize this so it's a little bit more clear and you can read the text a bit better. So if you want, you can include multiple screenshots. Save. So that's the first one done. For evidence 5, display the HTML source in the editor and then take a copy of the HTML source and place this into your evidence document. So this is the HTML. We want to basically copy everything here and then place it into the evidence document. So this is evidence 5, and this is where majority of your marks are coming from, so you can paste it in. So again, use the shortcut keys Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. So you don't need to resize anything. Okay, so that spans across 2 pages. Don't change the formatting, don't change anything, just leave it as it is. Okay, and then evidence 6. So we've done that. Let me just highlight that. Display the new style sheet in the editor, and again take a copy of your style sheet. So if it says copy, you're going to copy and paste. If it did say screenshot, then you would take a screenshot, but in this case we're going to take a copy. So if we go to style sheet, let's copy, let's go to Word, let's paste it in, and again don't change anything. You can zoom in to see what you've done. Okay, so the picture is not repeating like a tile effect. It's in the top right. For the internal and external grid lines, the borders will be solid. We'll have the size 2 pixels. The table has been aligned to the left, so we set the margin to 0 centimeters. Okay, so that's the CSS. You can see the comment here along the bottom. So to open a comment is slash and star, start and slash to close the comment. Here's the HTML, and here's the print screens from the browser window. So make sure you don't crop off this top bar here. Save the changes, and we've come to the end of this web section. Okay, so the spreadsheet part I did earlier on. So at the end of the paper, or once you get to the end of the paper, after you've done the spreadsheet section, double check your candidate details appear in the header. Double check you've answered each question. Double check your print screens are nice and clear. So this was the first print screen of the browser showing the files and the new files that we created. So lilac 1, lilac 2. Okay, also showing the dimensions of the picture. So the first thing we did was to resize the picture, and then we cropped the picture. You can see the dimensions of the picture here. And then this was the next print screen, so from the browser. So I did 2 print screens because I felt this was not big enough to show the text. Then we copied the HTML. Okay, so you copy all of it into your evidence document, and then I've copied the CSS as well. Okay, so we've come to the end of the February-March 2019 paper. I've just completed the websites section using Microsoft Expression Web 4 and Paint.net for any graphic editing tasks. Okay, so thanks for your time. Please drop your comments below. It's always nice to read your comments. Please show your support to the channel. Please subscribe below, and also share the video with your friends. Good luck in your exams. Thanks again for your time.